Speechless.
Yeah, we got to check for that. Yeah.
It's a dying art in football.
So this was such an impressive play for him. Hello, welcome to Football X's and O's, our weekly tactics show giving you the inside analysis on the best NFL matchups every Monday. We'll take a deeper dive into the Panthers' stunning 31-28 win over the Rams in Week 13. I'm Brian Sudo. Alongside me is NFL expert David Scott. David, what a shocking and much-needed victory for the Panthers against the surging Rams.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest upsets of the year. You got to really hand it to the Panthers. They're starting to look really good. Might be a sneaky playoff threat.
All right, what topics do you have for us?
We're going to talk about give it up. Matthew Stafford, only 2 interceptions coming into this game, 3 turnovers, and they give up the 1 seed. We're talking about a triple threat. Matthew Stafford has a lot of options in this offense, found a new one for 3 big completions. Fizzy Coker, Jalen Coker, and Bryce Young have become a very nice connection in this league. They find the end zone in this game. We're talking about a one-catch wonder, Tetairoa McMillan, the Panthers' top draft choice in 2025. Only caught the ball once, made it count. And then we're going to talk about maybe the catch of the year, Puka Nacua, one of the most versatile receivers in the league, doing it all over the place on the field.
All right, to the quarterbacks we go. Matthew Stafford had a couple touchdowns, but a couple of interceptions. We don't see that from him. He hasn't had a pick since Week 3, and now he had 2 in this game.
Yeah, certainly didn't see this coming from Matthew Stafford. I'd say he's still probably up there as the MVP frontrunner, but this is a shocking performance. Now, he did enough to probably win the game in most circumstances, but the Panthers just played a bit of a cleaner game. Bryce Young had a cleaner game, no turnovers. Matthew Stafford let the ball go when it mattered. Those 2 interceptions were pretty crucial. Then he fumbles the ball that leads to the Panthers' win. So a sloppy game from him, and maybe the Rams just kind of overlooked this one. You know, you look at the Panthers, they're 6-6 coming into this game. The past couple of years, they're not known as contenders. So you might get a little complacent, and Bryce Young and the Panthers let him know that, hey, we're gunning for a playoff spot. We are a different team than we are in past years. And it was a great game for Bryce Young. Only about 200 passing yards, but 3 touchdowns, no turnovers.
I feel like the Rams were due. I get it. The Panthers were great in this game. This was obviously an upset win, but the Rams, they had such a nice winning streak on the road. It just felt like from the get-go, they got a couple things going, but those interceptions, I just felt like the Rams were due to have this type of game.
Yeah, I think Matthew Stafford was not expecting the kind of resistance that he was getting. Some of those throws he was making were just a little lazy. Not enough zip on his passes, not really finding his guys out in the open field. He established his connection with Davante Adams pretty early in the game, both in the red zone and outside of it. But outside of that, he was just kind of not on his mark. Eventually, things got going with Puka Nacua. Eventually, things got going with the running game. But it was pretty touch and go for a while there. They got back into it, and the Panthers end up pulling off the upset. But yeah, it seemed like from the start that things weren't quite right. The Panthers just, it's an upset for a reason. They weren't supposed to win this game. They found a way to do it.
And to Bryce Young, you said it with the turnovers. He had no turnovers. All 3 of his touchdowns came when the Rams were blitzing. So I just felt like Bryce Young, he's been so up and down this year. Finally, we saw a type of game where he comes back and leads his team. And I got to hand it to Bryce Young. He had a really good game.
Yeah, there's been a ton of uncertainty around Bryce Young since he's been drafted. He was the #1 overall pick. Is he the right guy for this team? Can he be the future quarterback, the franchise guy? Not really sure about that his rookie year. Not really sure about that his sophomore year. And this year, I think we're starting to see that there might be a chance that we can build a team around Bryce Young. The receiving core is starting to get better. Tetairoa McMillan, Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette, they look pretty good. Rico Dowdle is emerging as a top running back. They're building up that offensive line a little bit. And with that help around him, Bryce Young is appearing to be a competent quarterback. Now, his numbers still aren't the flashiest. He's got 9 interceptions on the year to about 18 touchdowns. His rushing capabilities aren't the same as they were last year, but the team looks good. They're starting to do things well. The defense looks good. Bryce Young is not playing stupid. He's playing smart. That's going to win you football games against top teams like they did here.
All right, so the plays we go. Panthers are up 17-14. The Rams have the ball, 2nd and 10 on the Panthers' 31. And Stafford finds Xavier Smith, a guy who's not Puka, he's not Adams, Xavier Smith.
Yeah, Xavier Smith, there's not much to know about him because he does not see the ball all that much. What we know is he's got burner speed. I love talking about burner speed on the show. We do it a lot. And he simply just runs a go route and gets past everyone. Now, I'm a little confused by the coverage here. What I think this is some sort of modified form of cover 4. And cover 4, what's that? Pretty much you drop 4 guys back to guard the top of the field. That works typically well against these deep routes. Sometimes when you send a lot of guys deep, that can be how you beat quarters or cover 4. But they run cover 4 in a weird way where you've got your guy over here dropping back, you've got your safety staying here. This safety bolts to the other side of the field to cover the top right quarter, and then a linebacker bumps up to try and cover this quarter. I think that causes a little bit of confusion when the go route happens, because as the linebacker is coming up, he's kind of off his back foot. This corner safety, whoever that is, now has to come help, and then this safety now has to come help. No one is really in a prime position to find Smith. He gets open, and it's not that hard for Stafford to hit him. If he got him in stride, this possibly could have been a touchdown. He ends up going down for a deep gain, but it's weird defensive coverage that I think they thought they were getting smart with it, and if it was any sort of other play that wasn't a go route, it might work. In this situation, it just really falls apart.
The Rams have a plethora of options, so I feel like in this play, guys were, more, they were focused on other guys like Devontae Adams, the running back, but Xavier Smith, he's a special teamer and he's a wide receiver, and for him to do this play, this was very impressive.
Yeah, I think that is partially why this defense breaks down, because when you have guys like Adams and Puka Nacua, and then also in the backfield like Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, your defense is going to be focused on other guys that are not Xavier Smith. Now, shout out to Smith, HBCU alum, Florida A&M, getting his shot in the NFL and taking it. He had 3 catches in this game. He did very well when the opportunity was given to him. It's just another weapon in this offense, and that's dangerous, because now you don't really see a weak point anywhere in the Rams offense. They got a nice core of receivers. They got good tight ends. They got good running backs. Obviously, they got an MVP, hopeful MVP and hopeful Hall of Fame quarterback. Not many weaknesses. That's scary for defenses. Doesn't matter for the Panthers. They still got it done. But in this situation, Smith finds his opening.
And Stafford, he was just, like you said, if it was more in stride, that would have been a touchdown probably. But, Stafford, he's very strong in that pocket. He did have a little bit of pressure, but I just felt like he was obviously really good in that pocket.
Yeah, he handled the amount of pressure that there was well. He found his guy. As we said earlier, just a little bit off in this game. That's probably why he doesn't hit him perfectly in stride. It ends up working out just fine. They get a big completion, but you like to see that taken into the end zone if possible.
All right, the Rams would score on that drive, so the Rams have the lead at halftime. This is the Panthers' first drive in the third quarter. This is a 4th down and 3, and Bryce Young finds Jalen Coker for the touchdown.
Yeah, Bryce Young and Jalen Coker utilizing one of my favorite routes in football, the fade route. It's a dying art in football, but they execute it perfectly here. And the fade, I feel like, is more typically run in goal line situations where you're just floating the ball up into the back corner of the end zone, let your guy get under it, make a contested catch or a toe tap in the back of the end zone. They're running this from about 30, 40 yards out. And this is just spectacular connection between Young and Coker. Coker is going to put a little shimmy immediately as the ball is snapped to try and bite his defender, burn his defender, get past him. Works pretty well, but he's still blanketed pretty hard. Now, this is Emmanuel Forbes Jr. on him. Forbes was initially drafted by the Washington Commanders, if you can recall, had a horrendous start to his career. Really, really bad. But he's had a huge revival with the Rams. He's started to play very well with them. So shaking him off is a pretty good job from him. Young, all he's got to do is float this ball up and allow Coker to run underneath it. And he puts it perfectly where only Coker can catch it. He's fading down the field for about 20, 25 yards, catches it in stride, walks it into the end zone. Again, I love the fade. It's not even a goal line fade. This is just a full-on fade down the field. Man coverage, facing some pressure. Young handles it perfectly. Perfect connection between the two. Works out perfectly.
I said it earlier, all 3 of his touchdowns, Bryce Young, they came on pressure. So this was such an impressive play for him. There was guys coming right at him, and this was just a perfect throw, I think. Just like you said, Stafford didn't do it. The play with Xavier Smith, it was not in stride. This one was in stride.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the beauties of the fade is that it works really well when you're facing pressure, because all you got to do is the second you get the ball, you know who it's going to, you just float it up. Everyone on the left side of the play is irrelevant. They're not involved in this at all. This is designed to go to Jalen Coker. Get the ball, float it up there, let him run underneath it so that when that pressure comes, you're not holding the ball trying to find someone potentially taking a sack. By the time they get to you, the ball's been out for 2-3 seconds.
And for Jalen Coker, second-year player, we've seen, maybe inconsistencies, but I think that's not really on him. I think it was just on the offense in general. I feel like it's McMillan. Coker should be that wide receiver 2 on this team. Compared to a Leggett, I think Coker should be that number 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think this year Coker's definitely taken a step past Leggett. Leggett has had some struggles this year. Coker's taking advantage of that and has developed, I could almost say 1A, 1B with him and McMillan. Sure, Tataroa was drafted insanely highly and has proven to be a top receiver so far this year, but Coker's been great, and I'm enjoying watching him.
All right, let's get to the next play. This has to be the biggest play of the game. Another fourth down play. The Rams are up 28-24, and this is a 4th and 2 for the Panthers. Bryce Young, touchdown to Ted McMillan.
Yep, 4th and 2, short yardage situation, and you've got a really good running back in Rico Dowdle. What do? They take a shot downfield. Why not?
Why not?
And it works perfectly. So we're looking at Ted McMillan this time instead of Jalen Coker, and McMillan covered again by Emmanuel Forbes. I really love this route design because what they're doing is they're running sort of a natural pick down the field. A pick can sometimes be called pass interference if it's done wrong. They run it perfectly here. What is a pick? If I am the wide receiver and I have a corner behind me and Ryan is a corner who's trailing another wide receiver, if his wide receiver is the one who's being targeted, I'm going to run my route through you. I'm not going to block you. I'm going to run my route through you. So as these routes are converging, this creates a natural pick for, say, don't know who it was. It was either Leggett or Coker. One of them comes through as Forbes is trailing McMillan. A little bit of contact. Not enough to get a flag. No hands. I'm running my route, so it's okay. That gets McMillan open. Easy catch. Still, Young has to hit him in stride, which he does, but that natural pick really helps get some space here so that McMillan can find the end zone.
And Ted McMillan, this was his one catch of the game, the only catch, and this was just the most pivotal moment of this game. If they don't get this, they're probably going to lose. They're still down 20-24. They need the touchdown. And Ted McMillan, you have to trust in this offense, and he did it.
Yeah, you could say not only the most pivotal moment in the game, but in the season for the Panthers. They're 6-7. If they lose this game, they're 7-6 because they win it. So they're still in the playoff hunt. McMillan is the kind of guy that whenever you need him, you need a big play, you need a big moment, you could go to him. He was that guy in college. He's shown that he's that guy this year in the NFL, and they don't target him enough. Coker has emerged now, and Dowdle has emerged, but McMillan could be a number 1 guy on a lot of teams in the NFL. Keep using him. You don't want to see just one catch from him in a game, but if it's going to be just one, make it count like you do here.
And another thing with Bryce Young, again with the stride, that was just a perfect throw. I feel like it wasn't too far, wasn't too short, and I got to hand it to Dave Canales. He was trusting Bryce Young in these type of moments. 2 4th down plays, and both times he converts them.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing from Young, at least what we saw in this game, was what we saw from him in college when he won the Heisman. He doesn't have the strongest arm in football, but he throws with accuracy and anticipation. So he always finds his guys in stride. He knows he's going to hit that tight window. That's what he's good at. You don't have to drop just bombs downfield or really zipped on routes. Get his guys open. Get him some anticipation like we saw with that fade route, like we saw with this deep, post sort of rub route thing going on here. If you can give him some anticipation, some timing, things like that, he's going to excel. And if this is any example of what works well for the Panthers, I think we're going to see more of this going forward throughout the season.
So the Panthers would go on to win this game, but we have to recognize this catch by Puka Nacua. Fourth quarter, and Stafford finds Puka, and you can tell this is a one-handed catch. This had to be one of the best catches of the season.
Yeah, I think if the season ends today, you probably put this down as catch of the year. I don't know how he caught this ball. I watched it over and over again. He might be Spider-Man. I don't know, because that just stuck in his hand. It's crazy. I think he somehow used the defender's hand with his own hand to pull it in. No clue. Let's start by saying not a great pass from Matt Stafford. Didn't see a ton of great passes from Matt Stafford in this game. When you got a guy like Puka Nacua, sometimes it doesn't matter because he's going to pull things like this in. He does this a lot. Puka is great at sideline catches, getting his feet down, extending out the sideline. Great at contested catches. Great at everything. And then you throw in this witchcraft, and there's not much more you can say about him. It's just incredible. I wish we could show you this in real time to see just exactly how he pulled it in. I recommend you go watch it because it is just spectacular. I don't know how he did it.
Puka's just strong. He's a strong dude, 6'4", and he just can do everything. But there's another catch that happened in Week 13. This was Traylon Burks making the grab against the Denver Broncos. That had to be one of the best catches of the season, too.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Puka still. Speechless. He does things every week that surprise you. He's just not a prototypical wide receiver, and that's a good thing because he's just an X factor. He's bigger than the other guys. He's faster than the other guys somehow, and then his hands are they're sticky. He's got stickum on his gloves.
Yeah, we got to check for that. Yeah.
I don't understand it. And this guy came out of nowhere. He was a 5th, 6th round pick. He just bursts onto the scene, and now he's arguably the best wide receiver in football. Rams got a good one. Good for them for figuring that out in the draft process. And now they got to make sure they hold on to him with a nice little contract coming up.
And we didn't even mention Devontae Adams, 2 touchdowns in this game, too. The Rams, they lost this game, but I think they'll be fine moving forward. But the Panthers, this had to be such a much-needed win. But they have a lot of, questions coming up, like can they keep on, with this momentum?
Yeah, I think the Rams are still my pick for the Super Bowl. But the Panthers, now there's questions of can they sneak into the playoffs? Can they maybe sneak past the Buccaneers to take this division? They're still only a half game back, maybe a game and a half back of the Buccaneers. So things go right for them. They maybe take a hop over for the NFC South. So a lot of question marks with the Panthers, but good question marks. We're not questioning if they can still compete. We're questioning how far can they compete. The Rams, we got no issues. Keep doing what you're doing. This is probably a fluke. Just had a bad game. Recoup, look at the film and get on to the next week.
And they have to the Eagles also lost. And the Bears, though, they're number 1 seed right now.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, gotta love this playoff race. All right, that's gonna do it for Football X's and O's. You can catch us every Monday. We also have Ain't There a Ball every Thursday. Please like and subscribe and let us know in the comments if you think the Panthers can make the playoffs.